There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dev Update number 11. Fight Legends crew here. We got, of course, as always, our lead dev, Dave, in the house. How's it going today?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good yourself. How are you?
Oh, man, things are great. We got so many things going on right now, and
We do.
busy as ever, but more exciting stuff than as ever, been laid out before for the people to see and learn, and with all sorts of cool, actually, like alpha, like being teased at the moment, right? That's set to drop any day, all kinds of it. So we're gonna jump right in and show you guys some of the best we got going, aren't we? And first we got oh, this is cool. So Nick's rig is complete. We're beginning animations. This is really early, of course, but we're already starting to see something. We're gonna take a look at it right now. Talk us through what we're watching here.
Yep. So basically, it's a very early implementation of some blockout animations. So this is the very first step that the animation director starts doing to sort of start to define sort of what kind of motion we want with the character. We think about things like the character's personality. That's the very first thing actually we spoke about when we were talking about it. She's just like what kind of character background, personality, sort of give so that kind of show that vibe in it. But at the very beginning, it's just sort of the very basics. So this is sort of showing the rough idea of her ranged attacks, like her kick and her punch, with using the cables to extract and get that kind of like whiplash kind of feeling with it. And also kind of she's going to be a nimble character. So we wanted to sort of show and define sort of a bit of the nimbleness. So one of the kicks that she does, like a back kick, is like she does double launch and flip back. So it's sort of, gets that vibe across. There will be lots more adjustments, obviously. I think even her size is going to change because she's actually at the moment slightly bigger than I think we wanted to be. So make lots of little adjustments, and also kind of gives the animation director a chance to play with the rig to really get a feeling of like, what do we need? Does this really work? Adjustments that need to be made. Even Ross technically still has a couple adjustments that need to be made on his rig in the future. So it's just that's just all part of the process. It's kind of fun to actually get them in engine finally and start playing around with them.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's looking really good. One question I'd have about it is right now you got a little bit of a slack in the line, so to speak. Is that by design, or will it be more rigid eventually, right? Because I envision it on like a metal cable that's like more rigid, or what?
Yeah, well, it's still a metal cable, but yeah, it does have a little bit of slack on it. I kind of want the slack by design because then that gives us some really cool ideas. She can actually do a bit of she might be able to like shoot it out from behind her and whip it forward, or shoot it forward and whip it back and up. So you can actually get a whole range of motion with the attack, and how the active frames of the attack. So it could even be sort of a stop player from jumping in, because a lot of times you get caught out as a zoner if like you're trying to do a particular attack and the enemy can do some sort of like jump up and over to try and get closer and kind of close the gap while you're kind of stuck in the animation. So there's those kinds of things that we're thinking about with her. But there's also going to be some really cool fun parts where the cable is completely removed, because of what I'm going to envision is that I would like to have a rocket attack where she can actually fire off her arm. It shoots across the screen. If it hits the opponent, they get stunned. But the arm will fall on the ground. And it gives her a moment. She has to go and pick it back up before she can reuse that attack or use her ranged abilities with it. Exactly. So it kind of has a bit of risk reward, but if it pays off, they get stunned for a moment. It gives you time to get in there, pick back up the weapon, and maybe then potentially lead on with other combos depending on the distance and timing, etc. So. And if it misses, well, of course, it's going to hit the edge of the screen. That's still going to fall down. So now you're at a disadvantage. You've got to go pick up your arm if you want to still use those attacks. You'll still be able to use the attack. It's just it won't be able to extend because obviously it won't be on. So it's sort of an interesting idea, and we're going to play around with the mechanics and prototype it up, and then see how all the Bloody Faces members, yay or nay with it.
Interesting.
Go from there.
Yeah, it made me wonder because, like, you're envisioning throwing it and maybe doing sorts of like whip things with it. So we have looked at character concept number 6, I believe it is. That's going to have a dart rope sort of thing, but it's going to be a different archetype. So this would almost be like the easy version almost of the character.
Yeah. I envision this character as being a little bit more of like a medium range, but the The rope dart one is going to be a bit more of a stance dancer, if you will, or like because it'll be based on the animation time. So it's going to be quite a different feeling to when you're playing her, because it'll almost like constantly be in motion in a way if you're going through different attack sequences. Whereas Nyx will be a little bit more of like a sort of, I don't know, I envision her as this sort of like street kid, but like, you know, really agile and sort of like ducking in and out and trying to get, you know, be nimble, be agile. So yeah, we'll play around with how those two like sort of archetypes feel. I don't think she's going to be a traditional zoner in the sense of like, I don't think like Dalsim or something that the, you know, the way that his attacks work and the way that he kind of functions. I don't think it'll, I don't see it like that. She's a little bit more, yeah, I want to potentially make it so that she can jump and have some sort of, not a double jump, but sort of a double jump, maybe like an in-air dash potentially. Okay. But again, it will be tied in with our combat mechanic, because our combat mechanic we're kind of roughly playing around with would be like a fuel gauge that she has to refill. So she's got a certain amount, her ability to maneuver would actually diminish if she runs out of fuel before she has to recharge. So it kind of gives you this like little bursty sort of movement mechanic potentially. And again, we'll see how that plays out when I start prototyping it and then we release it to everybody to play with.
Crazy idea. I'm sure you guys have thought about it. Maybe you haven't, but you could do like, instead of, think of it not those extendable arm limbs, those extendable limbs as almost, you could also launch off of them. So the one her foot, she could launch into the air with that.
And
then do like
punch it off,
Superman
and then it would connect back up. Oh, she's that's kind of cool. See, those kinds of things are amazing ideas, and we love to play around with that kind of stuff. That's the creative part that we all love, and then it's the implementation that then you got to like play around with it and say, hey, does this work? Is it balanced? Is it going to be too broken? Like, what's the pros and cons? But that's a great way of displaying her being able to have sort of an extended jump action or something she can leap up of. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Should be like go gadget and boom,
yeah, exactly.
Awesome, man. All right, well, next we've got something else just as cool, because we're getting our third character kind of even closer to being playable as well. Nyx is probably second up as far as the timeline goes. And right now we got Shannon in the sculpt phase. So tell us a little bit more about that as we take a look at some of the progress that's been done.
So what you'll see right now is that he's you can tell we've actually moved on from sculpt into retopology. So he's actually the low poly version here that you're seeing. You're not actually seeing the high poly. So this is what happens, like I mentioned, I think last week, where you start to get the sculpt, which is really high poly, and you transform it down into a low poly, but you bake the detail onto the textures, and so you don't lose that detail. So you're looking at a model here that might have 50,000 tries compared to the millions of triangles that it would have poly you would have if it was a full sculpt.
Okay.
So it's really heavily optimized compared to the other, the main version when it's like clay to begin with. But yeah, he's going over and doing all the texture passes. So this is only the beginning of the texture passes. There will be extra add-ons and things that he'll be adding. But you can see it's already coming up pretty well. The likeness of the face is starting to like tone up. He still obviously hasn't done the hair. So, you can really see it in an in-progress shot. And what we'll actually be doing, I'll cover that when we talk about it later in the sequence. But yeah, it's basically coming on quite nice. I can't wait to see the next update to show that level of detail and the extra bits and pieces on his sort of enhancements.
Yeah, that's the most interesting thing about it, right? Taking a look at like his shoulder drapery being wide, almost like a spandex look, but it's like only draped over his shoulders. So it'll be interesting to see what that eventually does. And then his gloves kind of have a little bit of a wire going in there, so those are cool.
They'll be enhanced. So what we'll, because Shannon the Cannon, so we're going to have again basically his moves are going to be very focused on that. And I want to try to prototype his character design to be more of like a boxer who has like a sort of stamina that he can use. Potentially he can use that stamina to actually avoid the chip damage that happens when you block. That's a potential mechanic I was thinking. And when he runs out of stamina, obviously he doesn't have that ability anymore. Right. But it kind of shows that sort of endurance that a boxer has to be able to just sit there and take the hits without actually, losing much of their power. So yeah, we're going to play around with that. But yeah, a lot of the special attacks coined up for him will be obviously to do with punching. Having sort of like a cannon cannon attack. So we're going to see how that plays out as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, next we've got another video here. This is the in-game 3D menu that's being implemented for all our NFT items. All the in-game items, so you can go through them and stuff like that. So walk through what everyone's taking a look at here.
Yep. So this is just again, we had a 3D menu. I believe we showed off last week, if I recall.
Yes.
The beginning of it. So this is obviously one scene of that. This is the gym, the inventory, and you'll basically be where you get all of your items, trainers, fighters, companions, and things like that will all be in here. You'll be able to sort of organize them. You'll be able to manage them. You'll be able to put your fighters into training. You'll be able to access the sort of character menu to leveling up and all those kinds of things in the NFT mode. And also this will have a lead on straight away to the marketplace. You'll be able to quick put things up onto the marketplace, things like that. So, but yeah, this is just showing you a quick visual of how we wanted to sort of implement a 3D sort of effect. We might end up obviously toning it down and adjusting it. It's very early days, but yeah, just sort of give the viewers an idea of sort of how that starts to take shape in the process of development.
Nice. And so again, this is UI. We're seeing the City Dojo there. We just released a Medium article talking a little bit more about the multiple ways City Dojo will be used and utilized or experienced in the game. And part of that will be, being able to see your in-game assets like your fighters and your companion bot. Will that be, this is what we're taking a look here too. So exactly.
So in the background here, you'll be able to see your fighters training. This is what we hope to implement.
Right.
So the active trainers, the active fighters who are actually training will be sitting in the background doing training. So they'll be, either punching the bags, lifting the weights, maybe hitting the dummy, things like that. And you'll have, again, like you said, the companion bot will probably be visible in the background somewhere. Potentially it might even be floating around in each of the scenes and move with it as the camera moves around. So you've got that that link there, and so it's almost like you're accessing all of these menus through the bot, because we want the bot to sort of be the connection between everything in the world. So in terms of accessing the NFTs and things like that. There'll be more about that later once we actually release the bot. We'll explain sort of what we have in mind for it all. But yeah, definitely. So if you have one of the 10K bots, your customized bot will be in that scene there, which will be pretty cool, because we're doing all of the bot in 3D in Blender.
For sure, absolutely, yeah. So next we've got it's all the visuals we had, but we actually have some very interesting things to talk about still. Along the lines of this, though, we have the website app ready to launch along with the launcher. Tell us a little bit more about that. What's going on there?
Yep. So it should be ready by next week. We're planning to have it ready by Monday, so we'll see if that all pans out. But basically, the website's pretty much ready to go. Launches in final testing before the release to our Bloody Faces early access holders. They will have to remake their accounts, because this is the point where we're transferring off of the temporary backend to our new forever home, quote unquote, backend.
Yeah.
Which means, but there is no data that will be lost. It's just, again, associating your wallet. That's the only thing that really makes the difference. It's your user account, quote unquote, your email, whichever you use to log in, your password, which you can remake, and then the wallet address. All the other accounts, obviously, we're dumping that backend, the database. And moving forward, this will be the one that will associate all of your NFTs, all of your currency when we start kicking that in. That'll all be locked to this new system. So there won't be any more backend changes this heavy for the rest of the project.
Nice. All right. And then let's see. And then finally, we've got the game trailer. This has been a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of hyping this up. And I got a little, you've seen it. I've seen a little sneak peek. Mind-blowing stuff. Don't look behind you, because there's a little sneak peek there right along.
sneak peek.
Yeah, there you go. We got evil Ross right there. And so tell us a little bit about where we're at there and how close we are to being able to see something.
Yep. So basically, I think like you mentioned off air that some of our Bloody Faces have already seen a sneak peek of the trailer. That we've had a little meet up with our Bloody Faces on Discord, I believe, and that's what we've streamed it to them. The trailer is in video editing at the moment, so we're adding all the polishing effects. We're doing all of the sound effects and the transitions, making sure everything looks nice and snappy and polishing it up. But the main bulk of the sequences is already done. So I think we're ready for it. We really kind of wanted to show it at our live event, but we might show it earlier. It really depends on whether or not Will decides that it's strategical to show it before or after.
Right.
But I'd really like to sort of drop it at our live event, and then we'll throw it up online at the same time for everybody to see. So yeah, it should be at the very latest. It won't be anytime after May 4th. But it might be before. It really depends. So keep you guessing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've got lots of busy people working on that, and but we're also, like you said, trying to make sure we get it done, in a timely manner, because with lots of stuff we want to either play it during or in lead up to. So yeah, definitely keen to see where that heads, right? And just seeing the update every week is like, oh, okay, I see where it's going. Take your time, right?
Yeah, it doesn't, quality doesn't come quick, so you really want to like sit back and take your time. We did have a pretty heavy time frame to begin with. It was only like X amount of days, and then we were really pushing it and trying to get it, and then Will came back and said, look, I don't want to pressure anybody, and I want this to be as the best it can possibly be. So, here we can relieve the pressure a little bit. You've got more time. And it really did start coming together a lot better. We were able to add so many more things and polish up so many more things that we really wanted to. So I'm really glad we got the extra time for it.
Absolutely.
Also, I guess just to lead on from that just slightly, we've got, now that the trailer is pretty much complete, that's freed up our artists to move on to other things. So like you've just seen with Nick's and the animations with our animation director, he could move off of doing the trailer animations and move into doing those, and also our stage artist who was helping out with it as well.
Right.
He's now moved on to doing the companion bots in 3D, so they'll probably be coming soonish.
Nice.
At least some sneak peeks for that. And so that's an important thing as well, so that we can keep moving to the next thing rather than get focused and locked down on one particular thing for too long.
Absolutely. They were in my camera, and I'm back. Hey, well, I was gonna say, you mentioned the Bloody Faces meetups, how they got a little bit of a sneak peek. That's because one of the perks to having that Bloody Faces early adopter NFT is being able to get in on that early alpha with a special private meeting. So make sure you get that Bloody Faces NFT, and if you already have it, make sure you're in Discord and signing up and making sure you're around for those so you can catch that alpha. All sorts of giveaways happening in there, so make sure to ask around our Discord for more info on that. Other than that, man, another great update. Thank you so much, Dalen, for
thank you for having me as always.
Yeah, man, it's been great. I love this new time, a little more friendly, and these are getting smoother every day, and we got even cooler stuff to show. So it's all up from here. Thank you again for hanging out, man. I appreciate it.
No worries.
All right, you have a great night, and we'll see everyone next time.
You too, man.
Cheers.
Later, guys.